Mob family, this morning's been a little rough for me. I'm having my refreshed second cup of coffee. There was like a little bit left, so I had to add some to get it hot. But boy, do I need coffee today. Whew. So, there's a few things that y'all may not have noticed about my life. I kind of haven't addressed this issue ever before because I wasn't sure how my son would feel about it. So I talked to him the other day and I said, "Hey, would you mind if I shared a little bit about this?" And he thought about it for a minute and he was like, "Well, yeah." So I won't tell you which son it is. One of my sons was diagnosed with Aspergers when he was 4. Now, I don't know how familiar any of y'all are with Aspergers, but Aspergers is considered a quote-unquote high-functioning autism. Academically is above average. He is super smart, remembers so much. He's very literal. He didn't understand humor. He's starting probably about 3 years ago. He started understanding humor and actually using humor and sarcasm because it made people laugh. And so he likes to make people laugh. And so he's honed that skill. I say all this to lead to a discussion, a coffee talk, about mental health and school and how it affects my life. The past 2 months have been pretty rough for him. Just academically, I think he's a lot more challenged than he's ever been. Some of the things that the elementary school were doing for him, the middle school won't. And so it's pushing some boundaries for him that he's never had pushed before. So, he's doing well. He's got mostly A's and B's. I think he has a C in science, but it's mostly because he doesn't participate in class. Now, his math and English are taught a grade above. So he's challenged academically, which I'm glad because he needed to be. But the social interactions, the rule following, because he doesn't view them all as fair, is very hard for him. If he's having any kind of meltdown, and by meltdown I mean basically resistant to anything anyone says and wanting to do his own thing and not what you tell him to do. I've been having to spend a little bit of time at the school navigating some issues, trying to work with the school to get him to where he wants to show up, or at least is willing to do it for me. And so we had a conversation not too long ago, and he's like, "I don't do this for me, I do this for you." And I'm like, I can appreciate that. No one really goes to school as a kid for themselves, so I get it. It's just, I think it's harder for him because doing things he doesn't want to do does not come easy for him. And it takes a lot of his mental energy to do what he doesn't want to do. I'm having a rough day because yesterday I had to go to the school and trying to figure out what is causing the issues with someone who has Asperger's is not always easy because they can communicate, they can talk, but when they shut down, they don't want to. You kind of got to guess. And so I was on the phone with the vice principal. She told me what was going on. I was like, okay, I'm coming to school. So the whole time I'm driving over there, which is about 20 minutes, I'm thinking, okay, how am I going to handle this? How am I going to best serve my child today? Well, I decided that I wasn't going to take him home because I don't want him to get in the habit of having a bad day and coming home and he doesn't have to be at school. So I decided that I was going to sit with him at school. So I called back. I had gotten off the phone with her. I called her back. It was like an hour by the time I got there, like an hour before school was out, which typically the last hour of the day is probably his hardest. Always. Always has been. So I said, hey, look, I don't want this to become a habit. He's been having several bad days. And I sit with him somewhere for the rest of the day. We're going to be at school, whether he does anything. And basically, I just needed to make sure that, I guess they just needed backup. So I needed to go and back up the school and let him know that what he did was, his response to being upset was not okay. So I go there, I walk in, he grabs his bag, and I'm like, oh, we're not leaving. And so I know that when he's upset, he needs time to process what he's feeling, that he needs a moment. So I really didn't talk to him. I asked to talk to the vice principal. And while I was driving there also, I got a call from one of his teachers. And she, explained to me what was happening. And she wanted to let me know that she was sending the notes for this week to me in an email. And I said, hey, look, I'm on the way to school right now. You want to talk? Let's talk. Come down. Well, apparently there was some signs that he wasn't doing well in her class, and she shared those with me. And so it was nice. It's just nice to know that when you send your kid to school, they're in the hands of people who actually care. And they are getting to know my son and know the signs of stress and when he's not having a good day. And they do everything that they possibly can to make it better. But there's some times that I can't even do that. There's sometimes I don't know what to do or what to say that will help him get through whatever it is he's having a hard time processing. So we talked a little bit. I made sure that he understood that I don't accept what happened. I know he's upset. We need to come up with a game plan that's different than what he's doing. We have break for Mardi Gras next week, and so I'm going to be working on getting little cards to basically one's that's going to say office and one's going to say break. That way, when he's upset, he doesn't have to communicate, and he can give his teacher a card that says he's going to the office, so they know where he is. And when he gets to the office, he can give the office the card that says break, and that they know that he needs a place to sit that's quiet to process whatever's going on. And I think we've established the ground rules for that, and I'm hoping that this will help him navigate, because in elementary school they have a room that they can go to, and if the teacher sees that he's having an issue, the special ed teacher would go get him. They would go in the resource room, and he would have his moment to take a break. Or the counselor would go get him, and they would go hang out in her office, or he would go sit in the office and hang out with the secretary. There's different options that they were able to do there that I'm not sure that this middle school either can't do, won't do, or they haven't figured out what works. So, but they're so busy, and there's only so much we can discuss and talk about, and it's like we kind of just deal with one thing at a time. And so and they've got to get to know him. They've got to get to know what works with him in their environment that works for them. And I don't want to make it to where it's easy on him to take breaks, but I want him to I don't want him to take advantage of it, right? So I want him to only do it when it's necessary and when he really needs it, but give him a way to communicate that doesn't exacerbate the meltdown. And that's where I'm at right now. Like, what can I do to help when you're having a bad day to be able to stay at school, because mama needs to work to pay bills, so that you don't get in trouble, don't get a behavior report because your responses cannot be tempered because you're having an issue with whatever it is and you don't want to communicate it. And when you're forced to communicate, then things that are in his brain come out that, like, no filter. He has no filter. Whatever he's thinking comes out when he's in a meltdown, and that just it doesn't work well for school because they have other kids that they have to make sure that they see that he's being held to a standard of respect. Me at home, when he starts doing that, I know he's in a bad place and I leave him alone. And I let him go in his room, take a break, listen to a story, listen to music. But that doesn't always work at school. They have to work around what works best for them. So trying to find that balance of helping them navigate his needs, helping him navigate his own needs, and advocate for himself. That is one of, I think, the hardest things for a child with Asperger's to understand, learn, and accept, is that they need help. And they can't process and communicate like other children. That frustrates them as it is. And when they are required to communicate, when they're having a hard time, it's just that much harder on them, and it just frustrates them even more, which just makes things, it's domino effect, right? So I can't communicate, I don't want to communicate, you're making me communicate, and now bleh. So you want me to communicate? I will communicate what I feel, right? That's kind of like how it is with children with Asperger's. At least my child with Asperger's. I've had other examples in my life of that kind of thing. But I can't really say that this is all children with Asperger's, because when it comes to Asperger's and autism, there is no one size fits all. Every child is different, just like every child in your home is different. One child with Asperger's is not going to be the same as another. And so, just one of those things that you have to learn the child and learn what's best for them. And I'm always learning. I never stop learning about my son. The minute I think I've got it figured out, it changes. So I'm having a rough day. I'm anxious about how the day is going to go. He woke up in a great mood. He went to school. He was having a very happy attitude. He was the first one out the door, which he's never the first one out the door. So, I think whatever I did last night and yesterday afternoon helped him. He has consequences. He knows that his behavior was not okay. I told him I understood why he did what he did. I understood why he was having a hard time. But we need to come up with a better way to communicate when you're having a hard day. Because the way that he went about it was wrong. So he has his consequences. He accepted them. I allowed him to have input on that because I was hoping that with him acknowledging that he did wrong, that he needs consequences, that he would receive it better. And we would prevent any further meltdown. So I didn't bombard him with all of this at once. It was kind of like in bits and pieces. And I waited, and I approached him, and I asked him if he could talk. And, with a child with Asperger's, sometimes talking in of itself, especially if they have auditory sensory issues, which my son does, it could be overwhelming in and of itself and could cause a meltdown. So I have learned to approach him when he's in a good place. I have learned that if I try to push things when he's not feeling well and he's not in that place to be able to talk, or at least in a place where he's willing to listen, then it just makes things worse. And I don't always do it right. There's a lot of times I have pushed too hard. It's just a matter of teaching him how to process things that upset you in a productive manner. It's different trying to teach a child with Asperger's those skills and those coping mechanisms than it is a neurotypical child. But they can learn, they can process, they can achieve. It is very rewarding when things I have said for years over and over just click. And he's like, oh, I get that now. Or whatever I'm saying, I'm not saying it in a way that he can understand. And so I change it a little bit. Or, basically he has to logically be able to process what I'm saying. So it's finding the way that his brain can process it is hard for a mom because I don't know how his brain works. I love how his brain works. It's just frustrating because I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to communicate with my child all the time. And so today I'm having anxiety about seeing the phone number of the school popping up on my phone. Because I missed a lot of work. I missed a lot of work lately and it's affecting me. And having that anxiety of getting that call is affecting my ability to function at work and do my job. So today I just want to crawl in the bed, pull the covers up over my face, and just wait for the shoe to drop. But I can't. Got bills to pay. I've got to work. So I'm getting this out. It's Friday today. I'll probably post this on Monday. Any of y'all have Asperger's children, autistic children? How do y'all deal with school and meltdowns and, trying to work? Because it's hard. It's really hard to balance what he needs, what I need, and what my work needs. And I don't like to let anybody down. But sometimes you just need to take care of yourself so you can take care of others. It's not like I'm bothered by having to go to school. I will drop whatever I have to do. My kids come first. It's like balance, communication, and mental health are like my life, right? I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I hope it helps somebody out there. At least you might not be alone. You might understand a little bit more of my life and what I go through sometimes. I just want my kids to be happy. I want them to be happy, healthy, successful adults when they grow up. And that is my role as a mother. That is my job as a mother. And I think we're getting there. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you're new. Don't forget to click that little ringy-dingy button so you get notified when some awesome vlogs from MomOfBoys Nola comes your way. Maybe I should go back to bed. No, I gotta work. Y'all have a great day and be awesome.